Hi, I'm Ira Winkler.
And I'm Araceli Troy Gomez, and welcome to today's edition of the Irari Report, brought to you in partnership with CSO Magazine.
Today we're really excited, although I'm not sure if excited is the right word. We're really enthusiastic about bringing you this interview. We're interviewing Wachula Ghost, who is the default leader of a group called ghostsec.org. Ghostsec.org specializes in taking down ISIS-related activities, and they have actually interceded ISIS actual terrorist attacks. Their work has resulted in several arrests and a variety of other things. Today's interview is going to go into a bit about how they accomplish their mission.
Or at least as much as they can tell us without compromising their own mission objectives.
Yeah, it is going to be a balance act to try to get you the information you want to hear with ensuring that we're not we're not harming their operations. So with that, we're going to cover their operations, the implications of their operations, as well as how you can get involved with them if you choose. So with that, welcome Wachula Ghost. Anyway, we're here with Wachula Ghost, who is the head or the leader or the pseudo spokesperson of GhostSec, which is known for its taking down of ISIS potential attacks, infiltrating ISIS, identifying some of their people, and things to that effect. For obvious reasons, for most people, he will not be showing his face. We're not going to identify him in any way, shape, or form. We just made sure we had a nice, cool image in the background for it. So anyway, with that, we'd like to welcome Wachula Ghost. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. So let me ask you about a few of the, can you describe some of your activities regarding what would be identifying a terrorist activity or a terrorist attack, and how you have identified ISIS? Well, actually, there was a terrorist attack that I believe you identified proactively in Tunisia, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
What led to that, and how was that accomplished?
Well, to understand how that was accomplished, you have to go back to see how we operate. We have people that do nothing but monitor social media all day long. That's all they do. Their job is to look and find threat data or anything threatening or a hint of anything. It doesn't matter. They send that data up from research to our intelligence department. They analyze this data, and then it gets sent up to us. And we make the decision based on the conversations, the screenshots, and any imagery that they provide. And we take that information, and if we deem it a threat, then we send it to the government.
So you send it to a person in the government. Would that be the U.S. government, for example? And how do you package the information up to them? Is it just a vague type of thing, or is there actual specific and actionable information?
There's specific actionable information. They won't accept it otherwise. And everything we send goes to Michael Smith of Cronus Advisory. He's our mediator between the government.
Okay, so Michael hands it to them, and do you actually, because I know there's, for the FBI and similar organizations, there's known as confidential informants, and these people provide information but might never know how it's actually used and the end results. Is that what happens with you, or do they tell you the end results?
No, we receive confirmation.
Based on the confirmation, have you changed your tactics or strategies or anything like that? Like, so you report something to the government acts on it. Do you get guidance back from them how the information could have been more useful, or is it something different?
That's something I really don't want to touch base on yet. We do go back and relook at how we do things. Has it changed what we've done in the past 6 months? Yeah, we have changed. We went from basically killing websites to analyzing all the data in that site. So a lot has changed since day one.
So let me try phrasing it this way. Do you run into frequently the investigator's conundrum or the intelligence conundrum, where to take action or to recommend action to be taken will actually disrupt ongoing investigations? And if you do, how do you balance what to turn over, what action to recommend being taken, what to take down?
It's usually the threat level.
Okay.
If it's, imminent threat, direct threat, then we just go.
By taking down a website, does that actually stop an imminent threat? Wouldn't there be a more robust thing? So if they're using a website to plan an activity, does just taking down that website stop it?
No, it doesn't stop it. It just stops their communication on that channel. They have to move on.
But if they're communicating, planning an imminent attack, wouldn't it be more desirable to keep the attack or the planning going so you get more actionable ways of actually potentially interceding, or intervening at a more opportune time to both catch the perpetrators in physical space compared to disrupting a planning element? Like, so for example, with Stuxnet set back the Iranian nuclear developments 2 years. That's the report. I guess that's the lower level thing of actually attempting to completely destroy it. So,
right.
So I guess I would ask that question. Does setting back or disrupting communications actually stop it or set it back significantly enough that it would be better than letting it go so you can arrest people in person?
It works out better that we can get it done right away and get the arrests made. And I really can't touch base more right now. All I can say is that a number of ISIS supporters have been put out of commission as a result of our efforts.
Let's try turning this around a little bit here. Based on what you can say and what it might be desirable or advantageous for you to have the public perception of your day-to-day life look like, how would you describe what your day-to-day life is like?
Most of us have full-time jobs, families. We're just normal people.
You're normal people who, in your spare time, because frankly, the work you do is a national service. That's a given. Not just a national service, it's an international service that pretty much the world, except, of course, unless you're an ISIS sympathizer.
Right.
How much time does that take? Because clearly, from what I gather, you have potentially, you have thousands of people feeding you data on the ground. Potentially, I was told you even have some people on the ground in Syria who are feeding you information and things like that. We're not going to tell you who they are. But how much time does that take you? Because you're putting in your results have stopped an actual terrorist activities. They've resulted in arrests. They've resulted in, apparently from our sources, arrests of potential imminent attacks on U.S. soil, from what I gather. This is more than just, I'm doing this instead of going out to a bar to drink with friends.
It's, to us, the ones that work, we go to work, we come home, and we're here. And we do this till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. We may get 2 hours of sleep. We may get 3 hours of sleep. But someone has to do it.
Well, thank you for being that someone. Looking, I guess, both broad brush and tactically at the same time. So intelligence sources are often dumped into one of two camps in terms of value, at least in the the above ground descriptors of them. There's the highly repeated, therefore highly credible, and then there's the highly unlikely, therefore highly credible sources. So the ones that you get the one-offs from a random operative you manage to ensnare versus noticing a series of feeds and patterns that are consistent with a specific lead. Which do you find to be how you break a lot of the cases that you're working on? The split between the highly unlikely, therefore highly credible operative type sources of intelligence versus the highly repeated or the frequently occurring, therefore indicating a trend sources of intelligence. And I was wondering which one is more valuable to you when you're pursuing a lead.
I'd say the singled out. If it's a single one, it's you got to pay attention. There's too many of them out there that are fake, that are posting false information. These U.S. leaks that they call them, they're not leaks. They're old data. It's stale data they're posting and tweeting out. That stuff you see it day to day on a day-to-day basis. It's that one little tweet that you'll see, or that one little message, and you may not see it again for an hour, but you have to watch, and you have to know who to watch. We've been doing this for 9 months now. And unfortunately, they know who we are, and we know them more than they think.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I have heard from when I've investigated the credibility of your organization, which is frankly something I wish more people in our profession would do, we went ahead and, found everything you're saying, frankly, to be understated at best. I mean, you're being very humble in describing some of your activities, for lack of a better term. But can you tell us the location and the most challenging things for your investigations? Because obviously we're looking at some websites that are overseas, but I've heard talk that terrorists are purposefully using websites in the United States. Is that true, and why would they be doing that?
Yes, and that's happened recently. They've come running to the U.S. servers and hosts because there's no U.S. law that states we cannot do that. They're protected here. And then you have companies like Cloudflare, a content delivery network, that protects them. But there's nothing that says they can't. So they get away with it. And ISIS knows it now.
So let me follow up with that. So you're basically saying that ISIS purposefully uses U.S. websites to avoid U.S. intelligence efforts, and potentially to avoid overseas intelligence agencies who would otherwise go to websites and attempt to take them down if they weren't under the protection of the U.S. government?
I'd say a little bit of that and more of protecting themselves from us.
So in other words, you're saying that they know, or even to avoid GhostSec, you guys are also purposefully avoiding U.S. hosted websites, or you guys would not attack U.S. hosted websites because that would be a crime in the U.S. for a variety of reasons. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that, yes.
Okay.
So looking at things like, and that's, I definitely appreciate the delicate tap dance that you're having to do there. So trying to stay on the right side of that. The protections you refer to with CDNs and distributed content networks like Cloudflare, are those protections afforded as part of a policy against usage and consumer disclosure? Is it part and parcel of the distributed infrastructure that's in play? Which of the by design functions of things like Cloudflare make it attractive to these adversaries? Or is it something as simple as we're very litigious on the behalf of privacy of consumers of those services?
At this point, we've hit so many of their websites, they're just running the Cloudflare for DDoS protection.
So they're actually using Cloudflare as essentially, we're not saying this is a bad aspect of Cloudflare. It's actually
No. And I want to make this clear. Cloudflare is an excellent service. We have no issues with the service at all. It's just the fact that they're protecting terrorists, and they know it.
So in order to do what you do, you have to have figured out how to subvert a lot of internet privacy technologies, or at least technologies that facilitate privacy and anonymity. Can you give me an idea about what types of technology that might not be as secure as people think they are? Because clearly Cloudflare was an example of one of them where you've been able to bypass some Cloudflare protections to determine the actual server. Are there any other technologies that you've been able to circumvent to get to the desired targets that you're looking at?
If you're talking, Cloudflare is the only CDN we've run across. there are hosts like Amazon and Google that actually host websites. Now you got to remember, Cloudflare doesn't host them; they protect them. But I think in the U.S., it's pretty much Amazon and Google, and a few small ones here and there.
So you've been able to circumvent some of the privacy or anonymity protections that Google and Amazon provide?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it keeps their information private.
Well, I frankly, as a user of one or both of those services, I would say I'm happy you do and not so happy.
I get that all the time.
So what about other technologies like encryption? Have you been able to break encryption to get at certain data?
Really haven't had to break the encryption lately. We've actually infiltrated the chat programs. You know, we've got guys in other countries that work for us, and we've created accounts on Telegram, SureSpot, etc. And we've just infiltrated and got right into their day-to-day lives.
When you say you get into their daily lives, does that mean that you're actually monitoring their set chat sessions in real time? Or are you just setting up sock puppet type of things?
A little of both.
So you're able to intercept traffic in real time on some of those chat type of programs. And I take it you're not going to disclose how you do that at this moment.
Not any further, no.
I would hope not. Actually, I think that's probably a good. Yeah, right. I'm actually struggling with what to ask here, and if it's okay, maybe we should take like a quick moment to figure out where we're standing and what kind of awkward footing we're putting you on, or if you have any questions, given what you've heard us ask, that you would like to be asked or that you would like to answer.
No, I mean, I'm just here to answer whatever you guys have.
The way you're describing things, there are terrorists who are taking advantage of U.S. services for a variety of reasons, such as the laws that apply to them and things like that. Do you think, from your perspective as somebody who's trying to do things, that the laws are protecting terrorists trying to do what they do? And do you have any recommendations for streamlining the process for law enforcement to get access? Because clearly this is a minefield between balancing security versus privacy.
At this point, I can say it's being looked at.
Okay.
So I guess along the same lines, are there policies, terms of service and acceptable use conditions, ways that services could be restructured so as not to provide inadvertent shelter or safe harbor to terrorists, while still protecting legitimate users and legitimate citizens, in enabling the services?
Yes, it can be done, and the government has to put forth the effort to do that.
Let me ask you these questions. You are in a unique position where, frankly, it seems like you're trying to balance staying a law-abiding citizen, obeying the laws and things like that. Simultaneously, I get the impression you're not actually out there trying to violate people's privacies, but you're in a position where you have to take specific actions to actually do things which might border on violating the laws or border on violating people's privacy. With that, do you think that some of the backlash against things like the Snowden revelations have had a negative impact on the type of work you do? Or is that something that is irrelevant to what you're doing?
I think it's irrelevant. More and more people are seeing what we're doing, and there's a lot of people trying to do what we're doing. Great, everyone should stand up and help, in this fight. We do things that are illegal. It happens. But we are trying to do things in a way that all the governments of the world we can help all the governments of the world. We're not out there to cause problems. We are strictly counterterrorism.
Does that afford you some sort of leeway or some protections of your own in terms of, whether you're looking at intent? or get out of jail free card of any sort, yeah, you're going to have to bend the rules a little bit to accomplish this. But do you have any protections of your own that prevent you from being cast, on the wrong side of some bars like a terrorist would be?
They got to find me.
All right. I like that.
Yeah. And I guess, let me put it this way. I will just say this as a citizen and also as somebody who at least has a webcast that a lot of people seem to be looking at. I think we will say more than enough. There would be a public backlash if they try to go ahead and stop what you're doing and do anything in a negative way to you.
Oh, you wanted to say something. We diverted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, there's a lot of people out there trying to help, but then there's people out there doing more harm than good. And my suggestion is if you get in and you don't know what you're doing in this fight, either ask for help or back off, because it like I said, it can and it does cause more harm than good.
So that's actually an interesting point that you're saying. Is there how would you describe rules of engagement for people who want to help you and then not do it? Because again, there's the scene out of something Ari and I are fond of, Batman. Batman knows what he's doing, yet you had all the people dressing up as Batman getting caught by the Joker and being hung out on City Hall.
How do you be Batman and not a vigilante in tights?
Yeah, that's actually a good way of saying it. You broke up a little bit on me, but I think I understand your question. People can help in numerous ways. They can go to our website and submit either Twitter handles or even websites that they think may be Islamic State, and our people will go through it. The only thing we worry about is that people jumping in too deep and their operational security is not there. Their safety and security is on the line, and that's what we worry about with the public jumping in. But we're there to help. If someone does want to do anything, just get in contact with us on Twitter. We'll be more than happy to help you out in any way we can.
What is the preferred Twitter handle? Because we could put that up as, we could put up the Twitter handle as well as the website and everything like that if you want to provide that to us now.
Yeah, actually, you could go to our website, ghostsect.org, and team members and all of our handles are on there.
Let me ask you the question this way, and this is a delicate question, but how obviously ISIS would love nothing more than to get a handle on you guys, I'm assuming, based upon your success in damaging their operations. How do you protect your anonymity? Because clearly you're good at it. And, I guess, how do you protect your anonymity? Let me ask, I'll just leave it at that.
We're ghosts.
In the shell, no less.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I take it you're good, but so let me phrase it this way then. Let's assume I'm not a ghost. Let's assume I want to do what you're doing, or maybe, because there are people also perhaps doing similar things with child porn websites and other types of criminal activities. How would you recommend that they take steps to protect their privacy?
To protect yourself online, you must have a VPN, a virtual private network. The other thing that you want to do is you want to spoof your MAC address. You do those two things and you'll keep pretty safe. And you can also download a Tor browser. Gotta have that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Love Tor. So in the spirit of if you see something, say something, and having folks or minions out there looking to engage and trying to understand what it is they can do to help. Can you tell us a little bit about the kinds of things you would like to have the mass populace coming and submitting to you for investigation?
Yeah, there's a few things that we'd like to take. Twitter handles, Islamic State websites, and any chatter they see on Twitter or YouTube or even Facebook. You can submit those to us, and we have team members that actually get all that suspended as well.
So you've taken down websites. You've actually interceded on ISIS attacks by submitting them through to the appropriate law enforcement agencies, both in the U.S. and overseas, from what my sources are telling me. Is there any goal you have? Because, are you just going to keep doing this until ISIS just ceases to exist? Or is there something else you're looking to accomplish?
No, we're going to do this till the end. And if we, as team members, get tired and move on, more will move in our places.
Okay. And I assume that you're probably grooming people who are providing you the better information and stuff like that, because there's a command and control problem when you have a lot of people who, again, want to be those would-be Batmans, like a vigilante in tights. Do you have a training program or anything for them if they contact you? Or how would you groom these people to be Robin instead of a vigilante in tights?
We actually watch them on Twitter before we even talk to them. You can get to know somebody by what they say and how they do it online.
Mm-hmm. And I also assume that it would probably include their the things that they report to you as well, besides just how they interact with the internet?
Right, and we do a full background check.
Nice.
That's good. I guess let me ask this question then. Have you guys ever been infiltrated by an actual ISIS sympathizer, or have you actually detected that, or has that been successful?
They have tried. They follow us all the time, but we can tell who they are and what they're up to, so we immediately message them, and they disappear.
I guess in summary, we've already discussed the ways that you'd like to be contacted and some of the things that you'd like people to contact you with. You had some crowdsourced funding that was available and accepting donations, but that has, due to some stringent terms of service restrictions, been suspended for the time being. So we'll suggest that folks keep an eye on how they can contribute financially to your efforts. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, or anything you'd like to ask of the audience and the folks that they're able to reach?
I just want to say, everyone be careful out there on social media. It's not the same game that it used to be. It can get very, very, very dangerous today. Keep an eye on your kids and don't let them sit in their rooms for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and play video games, because you never know what they're doing in there. Other than that, just be cautious online. And if anything comes up, we're here to help.
Well, frankly, thank you for doing what you're doing. Normally, we just thank people for the interview, but I guess take our sincere thanks, because again, we did vet this interview very well, and we just really have to say that while people are always skeptical when they hear claims like this is the real deal, and it's the real deal that has saved lives, property, and everything else, and it sounds like it's continuing to do so. So please accept our thanks. And
thank you for the altruism, the service, and for scaring the crap out of us today. Really appreciate that, actually.
Well, thank you. I enjoy being here and talking to you. Unfortunately, we don't enjoy what we have to do, but we're here to do it till the end.
Amen.
Okay. Anyway, thanks again, and have a otherwise great day, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is where you happen to be.
The evening's just beginning.
Hope it's not too hot under that hood then. So.
No, the air's on.
Good. Well, I hope everybody appreciated that as much as we did. That fellow took some significant time out of a busy double life to give us that interview. So. Yeah, again, we have to appreciate the amount. Just by coming public and telling us what he's doing, he's potentially adding risk to an already risky life. So we appreciate that. Should his crowdsourcing sites ever go back up, we'd encourage you to find them and donate to him, because this is one of the true worthy causes that we're seeing on the internet. Absolutely. So with that, thank you for joining us on today's edition of the Irari Report. It sounds like a bad interview to tell a bad joke and end the interview with a bad joke. So we'll just say thank you for being here, and we appreciate you coming, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.